Well, Razorback fans, you are one step closer to the College World Series finals, and all you got to do is beat LSU twice. Should be simple enough, right? Well, let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of the finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday, as we have plenty to talk about today when it comes to the Arkansas Razorback baseball team, specifically about the offense. And if it is growing, that is the confidence that Razorback fans can have for this particular team, as well as the what-if questions. And we can make it a what-if Wednesday if the Arkansas Razorbacks are able to beat LSU twice in advance to the College World Series finals. But we do have to take a gander at what the Razorbacks were able to do truly in Game 4, it feels like, or Game 7, Game 10, doesn't really matter. Arkansas playing the UCLA Bruins, as we mentioned a little bit yesterday, was going to be a fascinating game, to say the least, because Arkansas had the no-hitter by Gage Wood that really got everybody talking, that got everybody focused in, they got everybody motivated, that felt like everything was going to go according to plan from here on out. I mean, anytime you have that type of performance, you got to feel good about it, right? You got to feel like this is it, and all it's going to take is just a sheer little impressive run to get you back to where you need to be. But how is it going to be followed up? UCLA is not an LSU, but they're also a little bit better than Murray State. So how was it going to get followed up? What were you going to do now that you had pretty much an entire plethora of pitching, and you're going to be rolling out a guy that I'm sure everybody expected to be the starter for the game against UCLA? There's a guy by the name of Zach Root. That's right. Zach Root got the start against UCLA, which was pretty surprising to most, and I think for good reason. The fact that you were able to have somebody like Zach Root play in what he did against LSU, not have as many pitches as what a lot of people maybe have expected of him, and you're saying, okay, well, you're going to save him for something. You're going to save him for at some point in time. You're going to have him come out at what point? I don't think anybody said Tuesday. Oh, UCLA being the starter. It was a very unique move there by Dave Van Horn. But just like we've seen in other occasions, like in the LSU game when Arkansas decided to pull Zach Root and put in a Gabe Gackle, which a lot of people were saying was controversial, or maybe it was even going to the approach of saying, hey, this ain't it, ended up working out. And I would say it was the same thing in this particular game against UCLA, where Zach Root gets the start, and it worked out. Now, in the very first inning, it got a little bit weird. It got a little bit dicey because you were seeing Zach Root come in, and suddenly you got the bases all loaded. And you are just scratching your head like, are you serious? This is the decision that you made there, Coach? Dave Van Horn, you decided to roll out Zach Root, and look what he does in the very first showing and the very first option he has. Boom, let's just go ahead and load up the bases and let the game get away from us here. Well, UCLA decided to do the absolute ridiculous move of trying to steal home. Don't know why, but they did. And it didn't work for them. Ended up getting out, ending the inning. And that was truly kind of setting the tone for exactly what was about to transpire with Arkansas and UCLA. You have, in the first inning, as well as the bottom of the first inning, you have Vahiva Aloy, two Vahiva Aloy things, golden spikes. I think it might be close to where he might be winning it. I mean, if he keeps continuing to play like he did, he goes 2 for 3 in this game. It gets intentionally walked, which is my favorite thing, but hit an absolute piss missile to the stands, and Arkansas goes up 2-0. Now, it was pretty boring there until the 5th inning when Arkansas did get back onto the board. And then they scored 2 runs in the 7th, 2 runs in the 8th. We'll talk a little bit more about the offense. But the point is that I saw from Zach Root where he gave you 5 innings, 5 scoreless innings. And when you talk about what you need out of somebody like that in that position, that's about as good as you could ask. I mean, truly, how could you ask for anything better from somebody like that in that position to say, hey, We just need you to not allow anyone to score. We just need you as somebody who maybe was a little bit hot-headed, maybe it was a little bit over the top there in the game against LSU. We need you to calm down, lock yourself in, go out there, and get us 5 scoreless innings. Simple, right? Well, it ended up being fairly simple because Arkansas did take care of business and they did get 5 scoreless innings. So it was going to be a matter of, all right, well, so what's next? What are we going to do here? Who are we going to send in? They have all the options, right? Well, Aiden Jimenez, the guy that I think is really undervalued and underrated at times, but he's a really good player and has showcased how good of a player he is many times. To me, he was somebody that was, when he was coming out there, I was really excited to see what he was capable of because we saw what he did against Tennessee in that Supers, and then he got a little bit banged up, a little injured, and it was a little worrisome. But at the end of the day, he ended up being okay, thankfully. I think Dave Van Horn said he had cramps. So then he comes in, and then you start to see the type of experience that he can offer, the type of play that he can have, and the type of ways that he can be, where he had 41 pitches in this one and only gave up a single hit. 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. That was it. Boom. Scoreless innings. 3 scoreless innings there for Aiden Jimenez. So what more could you ask? Now, granted, at the end of the game, in the final inning, Will McIntyre comes in, and people, of course, unfairly, in my opinion, go a little bit over the top against Will McIntyre, saying how awful he is, and he's the reason why Arkansas gave up 3 runs. And folks, it was sloppy. It was disgusting. It was gross. It did not look good. That was the problem. And so you had to find a way to battle through it. You had to find a way to make it work, and Arkansas did. It wasn't pretty any stretch. In fact, Dave Van Horn looked pretty pissed at the fact that it was getting so sloppy there, but Arkansas found a way to win. Now, the silver linings that I could be looking at is the fact that maybe Dave Van Horn was so upset that he needed something to yell at because Arkansas had been feeling themselves too much. I mean, come on. You have a no-hitter by Gage Wood, and then you have 8 straight innings of scoreless play defensively and with pitching. Maybe you needed something to fire him up a little bit. So that's the way I'm going to choose to look at it. But still, you got the win, and here you are. Now, 2 wins away from the College World Series finals. The only challenge that you see in front of you is just the LSU Tigers, a team that you already faced earlier in the College World Series, and you lost. And you also faced them in the regular season down there in Baton Rouge in a 3-game series to which you lost. So to say that the LSU Tigers have been kind of your biggest bump in the road when it comes to not only the season, but also in postseason College World Series play is putting it mildly. LSU's not a team you've had very much success in. And they are a team that is sitting at 2-0. They've had the extra bit of rest, maybe not as much as they would like because they did get in a little bit of a weather delay. But still, nonetheless, they still have a lot of rest, and they feel good, and they feel good about you because they have a little bit less pressure. I mean, shoot. They get 2 games, right? They can take care of you. They can send you home. You've had to play 1 more game. And I think they just probably feel best right now. Hey, they've won 2. You've had to play 3. And they faced you before. You're probably going to see one of their aces. You're probably going to see some of their better pitching at some point in time. But here's the deal. If you're the Razorbacks and you lost game 1, you can't do anything about that now. You can't look back on it. You got to just move forward with it. This is about as good of a situation as you could ever find yourself in. Truly. I mean, this is as good of a situation you could find yourself in with pitching, good of a situation you can find yourself in when it comes to the depth that you have there, the bullpen, and we'll talk about the offense, but it just seems like you're in as good of a position. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That doesn't mean it's a guaranteed win that you're going to win both of these games and go to the College World Series finals because it's just going to be handed to you. LSU's not going to allow to do that. Jay Johnson and the LSU Tigers, as much as I may not like them, they're really good. They're a good program. They're a good team, and there's a reason why they're sitting at 2-0 in the College World Series. It's because they are a really good team. And there's a reason why, going into the College World Series, it was you and the LSU Tigers being the favorites in this, because you both are really good. The only difference is that they have the advantage on you right now, because they can afford to lose 1 more. You can't. 1 more loss, your season is done. 1 more loss for them, they live to fight another day. But the thing is that this is what the situation you have found yourself in. These are the cards that you've been dealt. It's a matter of, can you do the unthinkable? Can you pull off the unthinkable and be able to close this out, get yourself a win, and continue to put the pressure on LSU? That's going to be the ultimate question. And I know we're going to talk about it later into the podcast about the what-if scenario there. But I do want to talk about the offense, and maybe, just maybe, is it growing in the right direction? We'll talk about that next. Stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, you ever think and to check your bank account and you sit there and you wonder, where'd all my money go? Well, between dining out as well as online shopping and entertainment, it's never easy to keep up with. In fact, it makes it extremely easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes into play. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. And it's Monarch Money. That isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you don't just you don't have to continue to manage your money through just one little app. You can stop just managing your money as well as start building your wealth. The greatest thing about it is that you don't have to have a bunch of multiple apps to be able to do it. It's just all in one app. And you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. Managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever, and you can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and you can stay on the same page without all the stress. So take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. The pitching has been the true indicator of this team, the true lightning rod, and was keeping you in this position to like where you are right now. You are here sitting with 2 wins and only 1 loss in the College World Series right now because of your pitching. Plain and simple. The offense has not really been what you've hoped. It's leaving a lot to be desired. Now, the reason I asked the question of if the confidence is growing with Razorback fans when it comes to the offense is because it's about trajectory. It's about at what point do you hit it? At what point do you feel it? At what point do you figure it out? At what point do you start hitting your stride offensively? Because it can come at different times. It can happen at different places. It can go up against different teams. And there's no doubt that Arkansas's offense has been really good this season in the regular season, even in the regionals and in the super regionals. The offense has been about as good as you could ask, especially compared to previous years. But when you get to the College World Series, it changes everything. You got 8 teams here, 8 teams total, 7 of them besides you that have done a really good job of winning in postseason and have found ways to be in this exact position going up against really high-quality teams, just like you. So you're going to run into some talent. You're going to run into some really good teams. But it's a matter of, can you still find ways to win? The Arkansas offense against LSU was bad. It was bad. Some people say, well, it's great pitching by LSU. Yes, that is true, for sure. But he's a left-hander, too. Doesn't mean that you can only go out there and get 1 run against him because you're a really good team. You're one of the best hitting teams in the SEC. You need to be able to score more than 1 run, especially if it's a solo shot from Reese Robinette. You got to do more than that. So the offense was not there against LSU. It was slightly better against Murray State when you're able to throw a no-hitter. Luckily, you did that. But it was better. Not great, but better. And then in this game against UCLA, it truly was improved. It was better. Not where it needed to be, but better. So putting all these things together, it's about the trajectory. It's about the trust that you have. It's about hitting your stride, getting it over this mental hurdle that you're trying to find your way to get through. How do you overcome that? Listen, there's been some guys that have been on this team, especially in the World Series, that have done really good. I think Justin Thomas deserves so much credit. I mean, the kid is killing it. He went 4 for 4 against Murray State, and in this game against UCLA, he goes 2 for 3. Had a double, and was able to bring some people home. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see from some people where you want to be consistent with it. Logan Maxwell was another guy that was really great. He's hit like 2 doubles all year long. I think it's a few more than that, but he's not a double machine, and he got a double that and ended up scoring runs. And of course, Vahiva Aloy is Vahiva Aloy. So you have guys that are starting to kind of put it together. You got 10 hits, 7 runs. If you want to put that into perspective, you've been really good at getting 10 hits and not so many runs. You did that against Murray State, where you had 10 hits, but you only had 3 runs. Since Tennessee in the Super Regionals, you had 10 hits with 4 runs. It's like notorious that you got to get to that double-digit hit mark, but you aren't scoring the runs along with it. But this time you actually did. You got to be able to continue to manufacture that, and it's about the trajectory. It's about where you're at, and it's about the direction you're going. Do you feel good about it? Do you feel good about the direction it's at? I do. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's going to be something that and tonight against LSU, you should expect just 20 runs, although that would be nice. But you're starting to get guys going that you needed to get going. Brent Iredale's another one that you're starting to see a little bit of improvement from. You have weapons. You have different options, and you got to be able to count on some of these guys. But it's just a matter of these games, they get more difficult as time goes on. You cannot do what you did against LSU in Game 1 and do it again tonight and expect to win. You cannot do what you did against Murray State and expect to beat LSU tonight. You can't do those things. Tonight has to be the best offensive game you've played in the postseason, far and away. And it's crazy to think that I actually trust the pitching more, where you're having to use guys and you're running out of depth. I trust them more right now and feel better about them than I do the offense. That's backwards. That shouldn't be happening in the College World Series. You should be one of these teams that's taking care of business on both sides of the plate here, but you're also a team that has dudes. You have the Golden Spikes finalists for a reason, because you have a great offense. It's time to actually start stepping up and start doing it. And all it takes is that little push, that little levee to break, and then the floodgates open up, and then you become that team where you don't have to worry about anything else. You take care of business. You get the offense going. You score your runs. You move on. But you got to be able to do it. The confidence is rising. It's not fully there yet, but the confidence is rising for this Razorback offense. We're going to get into the what-if scenario for Arkansas. What if Arkansas does beat LSU twice to go to the College World Series Finals in the next 2 days? We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. It's a what-if game, because that's what we do at this point in time. It's a what-if game. What if Arkansas was able to beat the LSU Tigers twice? Not just once, but twice. Because if you want to be able to get to the College World Series, guess what you got to do? You got to beat them twice. So, finals, I should say. So if you're going to do that, what's that going to look like? Well, you got to score, of course. So we'll go under the assumption that the offense continues to improve and that LSU's pitching is starting to waver a little bit. And you get that confidence going and you just show them up. You ended up scoring a bunch of runs, getting guys in. That's going to be a big part of it. And then on top of that, you also have to assume that your pitching continues to do its thing, whether it's Landon Beidelshees, who might be the guy who starts tonight, whether it's any of your bullpen guys that you've been saving, whether it's somebody that's like a Gabe Gackle that might be coming back on short rest because, hey, it's the final part of the season. You got to get it done, no matter what it is, but just assuming that the pitching is going to continue to shove the way that it always has, at least in the College World Series. Those would be the factors that would come into play. And it really wouldn't matter who you end up playing in the finals. I don't really care, because you're in the World Series finals and you beat LSU twice. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not the most impossible thing in the world. It could actually happen. But if you do, and that's the what-if question, what if you do that? Like, what does that mean? How does that make you feel? How does that change anything as far as what it looks like for this upcoming finals? And no matter who the opponent is, do you feel like you're winning? Well, first off, it's going to be an incredible story, an incredible turnaround, considering you lost the first game to LSU and you didn't look very good. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you get to overcome a little bit of the demons there, where you beat LSU twice after they embarrassed you a little bit in that game one. The pressure gets put on them because, let's be honest, they're sitting back and be like, hey, we got this. But if you beat them that one time, and one thing that they don't want from you is another shot. They don't want the fact that you would be the team that's on a winning streak. Because I'm telling you, folks, that's 3 games in a row that Arkansas would have won in the College World Series. They don't want you on that winning streak, because that put them suddenly facing back-to-back losses against arguably the best team left in the College World Series, and they don't want it to be you. They don't want it to be you. And if it ends up being you, I think they're going to falter. I really do. So you do all those things. You're right back into the seat that everyone, myself included, felt like you were in the College World Series began. The best team, the championship team, the team that needs to win it all, the team that should win it all, and the team that if they don't win it all will be a massive disappointment. Now, some of you may say that's too harsh. Some of you may say that's still a high expectation. And you're right. But if you're able to overcome what you overcome here in the College World Series, where you win 4 straight games in 4 straight days against the opponents you do win against, then you have set your own expectation. You've set your own standard. You've put yourself in that position to win it all, and you should. Because if you can overcome that, what can't you overcome? Appreciate you, everybody, listening in to the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.